I'm Andrew Joseph Keith. I'm an artist and sculptor, and in this video I want to talk about this latest sculpture titled Memento Mori. As an artist, as a figurative artist and art instructor, I've always been fascinated by the human figure, particularly anatomy. In college, I was studying pre-physical therapy before I decided to switch my major and go into the arts, go into sculpture. But I took a lot of anatomy classes, and I really loved learning about the complex beauty of the human form, particularly anatomical features. And the skull is something that I just keep coming back to. I just love representing it in this stylized, simplified way. It's something that I've done several times, and it's just a really fun way to approach the skull. Now, this was sculpted in one of my favorite stones, a stone that I've used quite a bit, and it's black Utah marble. Now, it's technically a limestone, but it's gone through a little bit of the process of crystallization, which means that it's been heated quite a bit, so you can see a little bit of crystals. It hasn't gone all the way through that process of becoming marble, in which case it would melt entirely and you would lose a lot of these little tiny fossils that you find inside of the stone. And so because we can still see some small shells and fossils inside this black marble, we know that it's actually technically a limestone. But as far as hardness, it's very similar to marble. As far as proportions, this one's a little bit larger than life size. There's probably some people that have a skull this size, above average size all around. But it's larger than my skull, certainly. It's a pretty large skull. And Memento Mori, translated, it means remember death or remember that you must die. Which I think is a more in-your-face way of saying that. And it comes from the philosophy of just realizing that this life is temporal. We just have a little bit of time here on this earth, and then comes death and what comes next. And so it's kind of a reminder to be careful with our time, to be grateful for the time that we have, and to spend our time wisely while we're here. And so that's something that I can also get behind, and I liked that idea of that philosophical framework for creating this piece. That Memento Mori is also a way of reminding people that physical things, even this, this sculpture, everything that we have, the lights, the cameras, the house, everything is just on loan temporarily. And then pretty soon the day of this life will be over, and then comes the night. And so that spiritual preparation is important. That's kind of the philosophy behind Memento Mori, and something that I really connected with, and that's where the title came from. I'd love to maybe do some more of these, and so if this one is popular and if it sells, then I'll definitely be interested in doing some other designs, maybe this similar type of simplification but in different types of stone. If you're interested in this piece, you can reach out to me on Instagram. It's in the thousands of dollars range, just so if that's beyond your budget, just be aware that it's not in the hundreds of dollars, it's in the thousands of dollars. But it's something that I think is coming out really cool. I still have a little bit to finish up. It's granite base, so I've custom carved the granite base in a dark stone, but not exactly the same. I like to have a little bit of contrast between the base and the sculpture, but overall just kind of a dark sculpture, kind of dark, moody, kind of that masculine energy of what I think Memento Mori should represent, of that dark night that's coming, and just that reminder, that reminder that death is never that far away for any of us. In their elder years, I haven't ever heard anybody say, oh, that took a long time. Everybody says, oh, life went by so fast, had to go by so fast, and now it's over. And so I like the idea of just keeping that in mind as a motivation to try to spend our time wisely. So this granite base was actually a stone that I found in my yard. The black Utah marble was a stone that was near where I used to live in Utah. To attach the stone to the base, I used a flange, which I drilled some pins down into this piece of stone and then epoxied those pins into place, and then a floor flange on top. And so this can just twist off. This top part twists off, and the pipe, the metal pipe, is epoxied into the black Utah marble. And then on top of that, I put some epoxy and I've carved that and cleaned that up a little bit, and I'll still do another layer of epoxy over this top part just to clean it up a little bit more and make sure that it looks really nice. And then this black, what looks like cloth, it's a chamois, and so I believe it's rabbit skin chamois that I've stained with some black ink, and then I will use some fabric glue to glue that into place solidly. And I just thought it looked better than the metal pipe. So I had a really fun time sculpting this. Now I did film the entire process of this sculpture. It's going to be part of my upcoming course on stone sculpting. So if you think you might want to try your hand at subtractive sculpture, be sure to watch out for that sculpting course. I'm hoping to have it available by the end of this year. It takes a while to edit those videos and get everything ready for a full online course, but that's my hope, is to have that course ready by this year. And I'll show you guys my process for taking just a piece of stone that looks like any other that you might find in your yard and turning it into hopefully a beautiful, interesting, dynamic sculpture that you can be proud of. It's a lot of work. It's many, many hours of cutting, grinding, sanding, forever and ever. But the finish of stone is just unparalleled. There's nothing that looks as good or feels as good or has that weight or presence that stone does. And this is heavy. This is, yeah, this is a heavy sculpture. It's probably, let's see. So that's almost too much for me to shoulder press. So man, that must be maybe 70 pounds, maybe 70 with the base and the sculpture. That's pretty heavy. So just the weight of it, I think, is a cool thing. But I just could see this in somebody, you know, somebody that has a beautiful home in their office space or on a shelf. It has to be a substantial shelf, but just as a memento mori, remember death, remember you must die. So anyway, I just want to share that with you guys, share that this sculpture is up. It's going to be going to a sculpting show in Loveland, Colorado in the next couple weeks. And so, but I wanted to give anybody that follows the channel, if there's anybody that has, you know, the budget for this type of thing, I wanted to give you guys an opportunity to reach out if you're interested in purchasing this before the show. And you can reach out to me on Instagram and I'll let you know the details of it if you think you might want to snatch it before that sculpting show. Otherwise, it'll go there and hopefully it'll sell there. It's one that I'm really happy with, and I don't know, I find the skull to be very fascinating, very interesting, and I really like how this one came out. If you're interested in sculpting, then I definitely recommend checking out my sculpting courses. The Figure Sculpting Fundamentals course is a great place to start. There's a portrait sculpting course where we dive in depth on the anatomy of the skull, the anatomy of the head, the portrait, each of the facial features, all of that stuff. So that might be helpful if you're interested in doing a sculpture similar to this. There's also a hand sculpting course if you struggle with the hands, and I'm still working on the stone sculpting course. So it'll be a while, but it is a work in progress and will hopefully be coming out before the end of this year, 2025. All right, that's it for this video. Please let me know if you'd like to see anything specific in the comments below. All right, stay creative, stay productive. Memento mori, remember death. I'll see you in the next video.